Hello and welcome to Eat Your Greens with Dr. Black. I'm Dr. Black, a pediatrician and a lifestyle medicine physician who's passionate about helping you take control of your health. This show is all about making the science of nutrition and healthy living simple, practical, and accessible. Together, we're going to explore how a plant-based diet and healthy habits can transform your life in ways that feel achievable. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're talking about something that affects many, many lives. That's breast cancer. Not only does it affect about 1 out of every 8 women, it affects their entire family, their spouses, and their children. Did you know that about 320,000 new cases are expected this year alone? Listen, it's not all bad news. There is some good news. For example, 5-year survival rates have climbed to over 90%. And if the breast cancer is found early, that number jumps to nearly 99%. Mortality rates have dropped 44% since 1989. This is all largely thanks to improvements in treatment, thanks science, and also from better screening. So go get your girls squished every year if you're over 40. For those of you who didn't get that reference, that means go get a mammogram. And yes, even better, there's evidence to support lifestyle changes too. That's where this podcast comes in. Today, you and I are going to talk about what the science says about food and lifestyle habits that can reduce your risk of breast cancer, support you if you're undergoing treatment, and even improve your survival. You know, my goal is always to keep it practical, so by the end of this episode, you'll have a clear list of things to start adding to your plate and your life right away. I mean, like starting today. Let's start with prevention, because that's where most people's minds go. The World Cancer Research Fund and American Institute for Cancer Research have reviewed thousands of studies, and their recommendations are pretty clear. Number 1, keep alcohol to a minimum, ideally none. Number 2, maintain a healthy weight. 3, stay active. And 4, eat mostly whole plant foods. That's fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, all of them. Seriously. Who is surprised by this? I doubt I have many listeners who adhere to a carnivore diet, so you're probably all just rolling your eyes right now and saying, duh. But don't hit the stop button just yet. Let's talk about what the research has to say about which specific foods and nutrients are the most powerful at preventing breast cancer. We're going to start with omega-3 fatty acids. This is a healthy type of fat that's found in flaxseed, chia, walnuts, and fatty fish, and they're known for their strong anti-inflammatory properties. When we zoom out across long-term cohort studies, women with the highest marine omega-3 intake, that's EPA and DHA from fish or supplements, had about a 14% lower risk of developing breast cancer. Even a small bump in your intake, around the 0.1 gram per day range, tracked with another 5% drop in risk. The effect is clearest in places where people already eat fish as a part of their regular diet. One publication in the Asian Pacific Journal of Cancer Prevention indicated that omega-3 intake from fish was linked to a 20% overall decreased risk in breast cancer. Now, most of us aren't measuring our omega-3 intake down to the 0.1 gram range. So what is the target amount in practical terms? If you eat fish, 2 servings of fatty fish a week is plenty, or if you don't eat fish, you can get it from a 300 to 500 milligram algae-based supplement. More is fine, but if you're getting it from fish, be aware that you are also getting things like mercury, those forever chemicals, the PFAS, and microplastics due to unfortunate ocean pollution. Next is whole grains. A meta-analysis, now if you don't know, a meta-analysis is sort of a study of a bunch of other studies, and it gives us an idea of how strong the evidence is. One meta-analysis that included 11 studies, including 7 case controls and 4 cohort studies, found that women with the highest whole grain intake had about a 16% lower risk of breast cancer compared to those with the lowest intake. The studies also suggest a dose-response relationship. So each additional 50 grams per day of whole grains, that's approximately 1 or 2 servings, was tied to a 17% lower breast cancer risk. Whole grains are rich in fiber. They have a variety of vitamins and minerals and also antioxidants. Now, the next one surprises a lot of people, and that's soy foods. It's a common myth that the plant estrogens or phytoestrogens in soy can raise your breast cancer risk. In fact, the opposite is true. Large studies show that eating soy like edamame, tofu, and soy milk actually lowers your risk, even in women who have previously had breast cancer. Those phytoestrogens that get so much hate are actually isoflavones. Isoflavones have been linked to a number of potential health benefits. There's cancer prevention, and that includes breast cancer, but hey, for the guys who might be listening, it also includes prostate cancer. Isoflavones have antioxidant properties that may help protect cells from damage. They can lower your cholesterol and reduce the risk of heart disease, and they even help prevent osteoporosis by increasing bone density. If you're perimenopausal or, like me, postmenopausal, isoflavones can help reduce those symptoms, the hot flashes, night sweats, and mood swings. In fact, back when I was perimenopausal, my primary care provider recommended that I get a cup of soy milk a day. I made the switch, and there was a noticeable difference. Studies indicate that each additional 10 milligrams per day of those isoflavones is associated with a drop of 3% in your breast cancer risk. Some models estimate even up to a 7% drop. For context, because again, it's not like isoflavone is something that's going to be found on the nutrition label, typical servings of soy foods often provide around 15 to 30 milligrams of isoflavone. So 2 or 3 servings a day can give you as much as 60 milligrams. So order that side of edamame or ask for tofu instead of chicken on your next Chinese takeout order. Just recently, here where I live, I found a local restaurant that offers falafel made with edamame. It was actually pretty good, and I'm definitely going back there again. One more nutrient of interest when it comes to reducing breast cancer risk is fiber. You know, I love talking about the importance of getting more fiber in your diet. Meta-analyses show that people who get the most fiber in their diet have between 7 to 10% lower risk of breast cancer than people who don't get much. And, let's face it, in the United States, that's most of us. So go for beans, lentils, chickpeas, those whole grains I already talked about, and of course, all the fruits and vegetables. Soluble fiber had a stronger effect than insoluble, and that's very likely because of the effect it has on the health of your gut microbiome. And in case you're wondering, no, just popping a few fiber gummies a day is not going to give you the same benefit. You actually have to eat the food. Whenever possible, I prefer to tell you about all of the delicious and healthy foods that you can add to your diet to boost your health. But naturally, there are times when we need to cut back on the, shall we say, less health-promoting foods. So this isn't about restriction or guilt. It's about knowledge and choice and being honest about the real effect that our habits may have on our health. Now, I mentioned earlier that one of the main recommendations from experts is to avoid alcohol. Even small amounts can increase your risk. There's really no safe amount of alcohol when it comes to breast cancer risk. So just take that into consideration on your next girls' night out. Ultra-processed foods, things like chips, packaged snacks, sugary drinks. There's growing evidence that links high intake to increased cancer risk across the board, including breast cancer. Another thing to cut back on as much as possible, or really just cut out altogether, is processed meats. Hot dogs, sausage, and don't hate me, but yes, even bacon. These consistently show up as risk factors for all types of cancer, including breast cancer. In fact, they're classified as Group 1 carcinogens by the World Health Organization, the same risk category as smoking. If you compare people who eat the most processed meat versus the least, you'll see a 9 to 10% higher risk of breast cancer. But it's not just the processed meat. Unprocessed red meat, especially if it's cooked at a high temperature like grilling or barbecuing, can raise your risk. When you cook red meat at a high temperature, it produces DNA-damaging compounds like heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. In a large case control study, postmenopausal women with the highest lifelong intake of grilled, barbecued, or smoked meat had, get this, a 47% higher risk of breast cancer compared to the women who ate the least. If you included women who also ate few fruits and vegetables, that risk was 74% higher. These are crazy numbers. So how can we take all of this science and translate it to your plate? To start, aim for at least 25 to 35 grams of fiber per day. More is fine. Build your meals around legumes, get your 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, and don't forget those whole grains. As a bonus, foods rich in fiber help you maintain a healthy weight, and they optimize your gut health. Next, look to get 1 to 2 servings per day of soy foods. That's things like tofu, tempeh, edamame, and unsweetened soy milk. This can be as easy as eating your breakfast cereal with soy milk or adding a cup of edamame to your next salad or stir fry. Go back and queue up my episode about tofu if you're curious about the health benefits and how you can add more of it into your diet in a way that tastes good. Make alcohol and processed meats a rare component of your diet. Order a mocktail and swap in healthier protein sources instead. If you do eat red meat, avoid charred or well-done entrees. Try braising or sautéing at a moderate temperature. Go for something like a stir-fry marinade, and be sure to pair it with plenty of antioxidant-rich, brightly colored fruits and vegetables to offset that pro-inflammatory effect. Now, what if you're one of the hundreds of thousands of women who've already been diagnosed? It's not too late. Diet still matters a lot. In the Women's Health Initiative trial, women who ate a low-fat diet with lots of fruits, veggies, and whole grains had fewer deaths after a breast cancer diagnosis. We're talking like 21% lower risk of death directly from breast cancer itself and about a 15% lower risk of death from other causes over a 20-year follow-up period. Anti-inflammatory diets like the Mediterranean diet, the MIND diet, or just an overall whole food plant-based diet are consistently linked with reduced all-cause mortality in breast cancer survivors. Those with the most pro-inflammatory diet had a 34% higher all-cause mortality versus those with the most anti-inflammatory diet. Circling back to soy, after diagnosis, soy intake not only lowers recurrence rates, but also improves long-term survival. Eating about 10 milligrams per day of those isoflavones, that's about a half to 1 serving of a soy food, was associated with 25% lower risk of recurrence. So what does an anti-inflammatory diet look like on a day-to-day basis? Again, we're going to build our meals around brightly colored fruits like berries, green leafy vegetables, beans, and whole grains. Most anti-inflammatory diets are low in high-fat red meat and processed meat, fried food, and also high-fat dairy. For flavor, focus on herbs and spices, things like turmeric, ginger, and garlic. These have the most anti-inflammatory bang for your buck, so add them to your recipes as often as possible. Another way to tamp down inflammation is to optimize your gut health. Aside from emphasizing foods with soluble fiber, try adding in probiotic-rich yogurt, kefir, or fermented foods like kimchi or sauerkraut. Now, food isn't the whole story. Our other health habits make a big difference too. Women who get the recommended 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity physical activity have a lower risk of breast cancer and improved outcomes. Maintaining a healthy weight is always important, but especially after menopause. Now, trust me, I know how challenging this can be. It seems like once you hit menopause, your metabolism comes to a screeching halt. So just do your best. Try to aim for 7 to 9 hours of nightly sleep. Even moderate sleep deprivation, like 6 hours or less, affects hormone and immune health, and it raises your risk for breast cancer and many other chronic diseases. Also, don't underestimate the power of social connection. In fact, this may be one of the most powerful factors in affecting our health span and our lifespan. Whenever possible, try to mitigate stress with things like mindfulness or other stress reduction techniques. And of course, in addition to limiting alcohol, avoid smoking and even secondhand smoke exposure. This can reduce your breast cancer risk by up to 10%. Now, all told, studies estimate that when taken together, these healthy habits can prevent as many as 20 to 40% of breast cancers. I have a present for you. As a way to say thank you for listening, I'm giving you a delicious recipe that's packed with fiber, antioxidants, healthy fats, and plant-based protein. All the things we talked about today to cut your breast cancer risk and boost your overall health. I just love the colors and flavors of this delicious beet and kale salad. That's saying a lot because if you know me, you know that I have pretty much hated beets for most of my life. But I'm a grown-up and I decided to practice what I preach, so I started trying them more, and now I actually like them. Just use caution when you're chopping them because they stain everything. Your kitchen will basically look like a murder scene, so you've been warned. This recipe is popping with flavor and crunch, and I cannot stop eating it. I'm addicted. A downloadable recipe card can be found in the show notes on the Eat Greens with Dr. Black website, and while you're there, take a minute to subscribe for episode alerts and more great resources to support your health goals. So let's recap. To lower your breast cancer risk and improve survival if you've already been diagnosed, eat more plants. That's fruits, veggies, whole grains, beans, and of course, don't forget that soy. Cut way back on alcohol, processed meats, ultra-processed foods, and grilled or other red meat cooked at a high temperature. And add in those healthy habits, regular physical activity, good sleep, stress management, and social support. Now, if that sounds like a lot, remember, progress over perfection. You don't have to change everything overnight. Just pick one this week, maybe adding some berries to your lunch or swapping out soda for soy milk, and just build from there. Even small changes really can make a big difference. Now that wraps up today's episode and also season 2 of Eat Your Greens. I just want to pause and say thank you for being here with me this season. As an independent podcaster, your support and the time you take to listen means a lot. I'm going to take a little break from recording so I can come back refreshed and ready to share more nutrition and lifestyle conversations in the new year. I'm working on learning video editing. I'd like to start including more video into my episodes. And of course, that takes a lot of time. It's a big learning curve. That'll be an exciting element that I'm adding in to at least some of my episodes next year. Season 3 will kick off in January of 2026 with new episodes that I can't wait to share with you. In the meantime, I'll be sending out a short newsletter twice a month with highlights from past episodes. So if you've missed any along the way, it's a great chance to catch up. You can sign up for these at eatgreenswithdrblack.com. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for sharing the podcast with your friends and family and for being a part of this community. Until next time, thanks for listening, and don't forget to eat your greens. Please be aware that this podcast provides general health information about nutrition and feeding of infants and children and is meant for educational purposes only. It's not intended to replace the important relationship between a parent, child, and pediatrician. If you have concerns about your child's nutrition, health, or growth, please consult your doctor.